E equals mc squared. Now here are some formulas for success that Einstein himself didn't create in his laboratory. If you're seeking some fine-tuning for your success journey, I invite you to eavesdrop as I read Eli a letter to improve his understanding of the facts of life. The success version, that is, on Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. Dear Eli, you don't have to be Einstein to understand that E equals mc squared. It is known as the theory of relativity. Now that theory is over 100 years old now, and Albert Einstein, in his theory of special relativity, determined that the laws of physics are the same for all non-accelerating observers. Now Eli, if you are a non-accelerating body, allow me, as your dad, to enlighten you, father to son, relatively. Now let's start with E equals mc squared. Extraordinary equals meaningful times concentration times commitment. Now to be extraordinary, you must multiply something meaningful by intense concentration and commitment. If what you're doing is not meaningful, then it cannot yield extraordinary results. To be extraordinary requires intense concentration, or it is merely ordinary. Finally, your commitment to excellence must be in evidence, because mediocre results never inspire people. Eli, be extraordinary as a spouse, boss, father, and friend. E equals mc squared. Expert equals mastery times circumstances times concept. Now Eli, when I was in sales, as part of the warm-up, we were taught that it was always a good idea to let your prospect teach you something before you began to make your presentation. Make them an expert first before you became the expert in your product or service. As a salesperson, we would define an expert as someone that knew at least one more thing about a particular subject than you did. Good sales technique, but certainly short-sighted. What makes a coach an expert is his or her mastery of the game. The details, the ins and outs, the nuances, and the experiences. Take the time in this information-friendly world to know how something is done. Master the fine points through knowledge and experience. Relate this knowledge to the specific circumstances that prevail. Most importantly, never lose sight of the concept that is the objective of your actions. Too often, Eli, in today's times, you see people manipulate data for the sake of punching up their own numbers. Always remember why you are in business. The true expert is measured by results. Be wary of those that show you data that the sun is shining when you're in total darkness. It's only a mirage or an eclipse. E equals mc squared. Empowerment equals mobilizing times capable times creativity. One of the truly great inhibitors of an individual's success is time management. The more you empower others, the more you may empower yourself. Ideally, the successful individual needs thinking time. This time is needed to reflect, plan, and create. Most people do very little reflecting, planning, and creating. Mobilize your employees, children, friends, and acquaintances. Mobilize their strengths to help you expedite issues where you are weak. For instance, Eli, I have a friend that knows everything about cars. Recently, I was having an issue with my car, and I asked my friend for advice. How nice was it when he solved the problem in record time and minimal expense? He did the job capably and used a creative solution that I wouldn't have thought about in a million years. So here's the rule. If you have a job to do as an employer, an employee can do the job at least 80% as well as you can. They are capable. Let them use their own creativity to complete that task and then inspect their results. This will empower them and empower you with more time. Now, a corollary to this rule is that if there is a job to be done that is in a domain of extreme weakness for you, seek out a person that has strength where you have weakness. But be willing to trade strength for strength and give the assigned task your best effort. In the long term, you will empower and be empowered. E equals MC squared. Epiphany equals magic times comprehension times course of action. Well, Eli, now that you have some thinking time, what do you think about? You think about solving a problem or creating a product or advancing a relationship, or there are so many things to think about. We are talking about creativity. By the way, something they don't teach you in school. When you create that solution, we call it an epiphany. Here is the definition. Number one, a usually sudden manifestation of perception of the essential nature or meaning of something. Number two, an intuitive grasp of reality through something like an event, usually simple and striking. And number three, an illuminating discovery, realization, or disclosure, a revealing scene or moment. So Eli, how do you achieve an epiphany, a life-changing, problem-solving moment? You think. You use your subconscious mind as well as your conscious mind. You focus on the solution. You visualize the solution. The best time to do this is just before you fall asleep. Make it the last thing that you're thinking in the 5 minutes before you sleep. This will plant the seed in your subconscious mind, that part of your mind that does not censor or inhibit thought. This is where the magic happens in many cases. Now the next step, it's easy. You comprehend how the solution solves the issue. In other words, when the magic happens, be prepared and write it down or you will forget. Have a pencil and a paper near your bed, or a tape recorder, or do as I do, send yourself a text. Finally, take the actions you need to accomplish the objective. Get to the starting line and begin. Once you begin and run into a new roadblock, repeat the epiphany process. The key is to get to the starting line. The finish line will appear. Have faith. E equals MC squared. Explosion equals mammoth times change times culture. Eli, did you know that most people set their goals way too low? The key to a success explosion is to stretch yourself and your team and to paint the picture of the vision in Technicolor with surround sound. The leaders must make the dream mammoth so that everybody can see that doing things the way they have always been done will not get the job completed. The vision must inspire change and rock the culture. When products and methods become obsolete, the workforce will fight to maintain the status quo, even though the decline of the operation is obvious. Only two things, Eli, motivate a workforce: inspiration or desperation. If you are told that your product or services are no longer needed, the workforce, motivated by desperation, will then offer to change to keep their jobs. Doesn't it make more sense to inspire your workers with a mammoth vision that stretches their skills and challenges their minds? People respond to a challenge. They react to desperation. One culture is positive and alive, and the other gives birth to finger-pointing and blame. When you inspire, you'll get positive energy that matters, moving at the speed of light. E equals MC squared. Excite equals message times champion times charge. Eli, if you want to get people excited, you need three basic elements. You must have a message that moves people emotionally. You must champion that message all the time, be the cheerleader, have visuals, constantly paint the picture, and champion the worthiness of the message. And finally, and of equal importance, you must continually charge forward. Expect hiccups in the achievement of the desired outcome, but the excitement generated by the vision creates momentum to plow through the temporary roadblocks. It demands you to keep charging. The big picture overcomes small setbacks. It creates a culture of excitement and achievement. E equals MC squared. Evolve equals manifest times change times circumstances. Eli, the definition of evolve is to develop gradually, especially from a simple to a more complex form. So what does it take to evolve? Before you can accomplish anything of significance, it is essential that you create the vision of achievement. You must see it. You must feel it. A man can never accomplish what he cannot see himself doing. When you manifest the needed correction within you, and it becomes both justified and inevitable in your own mind, conditions and or circumstances become visible to enable achievement. Most people tend to change just enough to get away from their problems, but not enough to solve them. Most people want to change their circumstances to improve their lives, instead of changing themselves to improve their circumstances. Most people wait for the condition to be favorable first. That is their kryptonite. In order to change the outside, you must first change the inside. Now, in our next reassemblage, I love making up new words, we will continue with more E equals MC squared formulas. To make sure that you don't miss the second semester, click the subscribe icon and the notification bell. Now, as a scientist, I am extremely interested in your theories. Please insert them in the comment section below. If you know some other students that might want to monitor this class, please let them know how to attend too. Our thought for the day is directed toward your efforts for personal achievement. And it is. There has to be an obsession to the cause to advance the cause. And because we never end our meeting on a philosophical note, get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.